Good morning from KCG College of Technology, the Department of Fashion Technology. So we have here two guests, Ms. Prajanya Anand, the celebrity stylist, and we have Mr. Yuvraj. He's a fashion technologist, and he happens to be the production product development head in GK Groups in Tirupur. So I don't want to take too much of your time. So we have a whole lot of people online who will be joining. So I just want you to start off. I just want you to start off with the travel path that you took in your career. Okay. So how have you come to this position? I want both of you all to take that question.
Hi guys, I'm really happy to be here, and this is my first time to KCG, and it's a lovely. As soon as I entered, I said you have an amazing campus. It's so fresh and so nice, and surrounded by a lovely body, and I think it's a fantastic place to for young people to study. So about myself, my name is Prajanya Anand. I'm as of now working as a fashion stylist and fashion consultant. I do a lot of fashion shows in the city. I also do it nationally and internationally. I've done about 6 shows internationally and a lot of shows nationally. Regarding my path, I studied in Pearl Academy of Fashion, which had an affiliation with Nottingham Trent University. So we got our degree from there. So my student life was very influenced by an international kind of way of studying and an international kind of way of working, and they gave us a lot of exposure, I would say. So I really loved my college life. It was very, very interesting. It was not like a regular college life, which was great. And post that, I worked as a fashion consultant with a store in Chennai called Collage. Then I worked with another group as one of their style. I started off as a junior designer. Then I went on to a senior designer. Then I went on to being a sourcing agent. I was with that company for about 1.5 years. And then I started on my entrepreneurial career, where I launched my own label. I did that. I had my own store for a while, did that. And then I went into doing styling. It's been about 10 years that I've been working in this industry, and it's been a great, great journey. And it's all about evolution. It's all about keeping on learning new things and trying new things. And fashion is great for that, because it allows you that breathing space to kind of experience things, see if you like it. If you don't like it, you can move on to something else within the same field, which not too many fields offer. So that's the great part about fashion. So I'm great to be here today.
Yeah, that's great. We're very happy and proud to have you here for the show.
Thank you. Pleasure. Yuvraj, please.
Hi everyone, this is Yuvraj. Well, to talk about myself, like I've been passed out from BTech Fashion Technology in Kumaraguru College, Coimbatore, and then I did my masters in NIFT Bangalore. And to start with my career, I started as a project engineer in Azabilla Group. Then I've been working in export merchandising. Then I've started as a consultant for new startups, and also design consultant for brands who works in European market. So we majorly we work with brands and startup, where major focus is on developing product with more technology based products basically. So, and also I've been personally monitoring projects in research field, natural fabrics, organic handmade fabrics for the last couple of years. And I'm more inclined towards technology based fashion products, which is the future of fashion industry. So I hope this session would being an eye open for everyone who aspire to become a fashion enthusiast down the line in their career. So I wish you guys all success for your this fashion careers.
Yeah, thank you. So fashion is supposed to be an amalgamation of science, art, technology, and a lot of emotions. And I think you two make the best kind of the options for this webinar. So we have one stylist going to talk a lot about creativity, innovation, a lot of things. And then we have another a fashion technologist who's going to talk about the role of technology. So I think both of them are going to clear a lot of the doubts which our students and parents actually have. So we have a whole gamut of questions that generally parents come and ask us. So thank you so much for being here. Thanks for explaining the career path. I just want you to give a small intro about the significance of the fashion field as such.
So, telling about the fashion, actually, main things, one thing we have to understand is like fashion is not something like far from our day-to-day need. Actually, it is one of the very basic, essential need of human being. Actually, so we cannot make it apart from our daily needs. Actually, so fashion you cannot generally categorize. This is only a category of segment where it is not like just for a one-day show or something like that. We see fashion in everywhere. You take any product, whatever we use our day-to-day life, like you take your laptops, you take your bags, you take your car, you take your furniture, you take your house. Everywhere the design gets involved. So how this design is getting evolved from your past, present, and future, that makes the term called fashion actually. So when you tell about fashion, as a person who really inclined towards the career in fashion, you should always have a keen interest in how you take the element called fashion into your life actually. So that cannot be taught, but it should be cultivated within oneself when you aspire to be a fashion enthusiast at the end of the day. So when you tell about the fashion, it present everywhere actually. So especially when it comes to your apparel segment or your garment or your whatever your architecture or type, everywhere your design speaks about how a one is creatively able to deliver at the end of the day to the end customer actually. So here at present the scenario of fashion is probably changing its face actually. It's getting speed up with the technological upgraded one, because the recent years you have seen multiple ventures are happening in fashion industry where students, professionals, and a lot of outside funders, investors, they are very interested to take products from a very consumer based to the next level of technology upgraded product. So when it comes to fashion, we should be people updated to deliver the customer oriented product with a more advanced as per understanding the customer oriented approach in designing a product, whether it might be in fashion or it might be in like non fashion products. Everywhere the design makes a major role. So when you talk about fashion, we have to be more oriented with the design as well as like technology aspect of the product.
Yeah, fine. So my next question was on that, the role of technology in the fashion field. I think you have touched
Covered
it. Yeah. So I also want to ask you one more thing. So we have a lot of courses. A lot of institutions and colleges are offering different kinds of courses in the fashion field. Why do we have to take a BTech in fashion technology?
Fine. So the answer is very simple actually. The thing is like we have multiple courses across universities around the globe when it comes to fashion. We have like BSc, we have like BTech, we have B design. But especially what the BTech course deliver is like it makes the student compatible as well as like ready for the industry need. That is one comes with the design knowledge as well as the technology oriented approach towards designing a product. That is what the BTech program delivers to a student. Because there might be a question when a student asks like can't it be delivered from a BSc or like B design? The main thing is like the industry expects diversity kind of an approach towards students actually. There is an industry demand for designers very exclusively focused on technical segment, because when we say designer, a designer cannot play multiple role in terms of at the end of the day when it comes to your industry demands, because now the designer faces are changed from fashion designer to your technical textile designer. Because when we talk about only a designer segment, we have designer career like from apparel design, garment tech pack design, you have production designs where all your layouts, basically plant layout designing engineers are there in industry, and there are artificial intelligence simulation designers are there. So this is on multiple phases of the industry demands.
Yes.
So when in the BTech course, what we generally like offers in the fashion curriculum, it tells about the student has to capable enough to conceive the design, conceptualize, and then it should take technology approach to keep updated with the current phase of the industry.
Yes.
That is how the BTech delivers actually. That makes the difference between a normal BSc course as well as your B design course. So it makes like a bridge between.
Yeah. So this BTech is actually going to take care of the diversification which has happened in the
Exactly.
fashion field and the garment field as such. So all the technology-driven things also, there should not be a gap. So this BTech can actually take care of that.
So basically, what he's trying to say, I think, is that when the child graduates, he or she will not only be, faceted in one area.
Yes.
They will be multifaceted,
Multifaceted.
and they will be absolutely ready to take on a role in any aspect of the industry.
Yeah.
Tomorrow, they'll be having multiple opportunities to get hired by various different segments. What they find interesting,
Exactly.
rather than having to go down only one path or having been polished only in one segment. They're going to be multifaceted. They're going to be able to deal with so many other.
And they're not going to be dependent on somebody to say, I don't know this.
Right.
They can just continuously go on their path. Yeah.
Because when we see the hierarchy of an organization, like say into corporate, when a student passed out, he steps into industry, he's not going to stand in a position where only in a associate level or junior level. He's going to head a brand down the line. He's going to head the complete portfolio of the brand. So the scenarios are getting changed when the years are getting passed. So one has to keep the challenges ready, and he has to make himself ready for the changing environment. So that is what the BTech curriculum makes for all the 4 years.
Yeah. Yeah. So thank you so much. So I think the next question I want Prajanya to take it up. So why study fashion in Chennai?
So, being a Chennaiite and having traveled a lot in the last 10 years, I've not just worked only in Chennai, I've worked outside it as well. I think that currently there's a fashion boom happening in Chennai. This has happened maybe 10 years or 15 years ago in Bangalore even. But right now, a lot of people are being aware of fashion. It's actually taking on a form of its own, it's just all over the place. And there are so many new startups, there are so many new opportunities, there are so many people who are trying new things. People are actually willing to spend on fashion today. Before, there would be only a certain group or an elite society who would be willing to invest a certain amount of money in fashion. But today you see every single person is willing to is not just willing, wants to spend.
Yeah, and there's so much of awareness about
So much of
styling.
awareness and so much, things like, Pinterest, Instagram, so many things which are, currently trending in the world, like, Kane's Awards. A few years ago, no one even understood or knew what that was. Now, today, every headline, every newspaper, every time you open, it's talking about Deepika Padukone, what she's wearing, what is Alia Bhatt wearing, what is this person, what is that person. Someone like Sabyasachi, which no one knew about. Now, my grandfather, who is 82 years old,
Okay.
he's asking me that, yeah, man, the Sabyasachi. He's telling me, his garments are so expensive. Why is it so expensive? He's asking me. It's causing a general curiosity, and it's causing a general, gravitation of the general public towards fashion, which is happening a lot now with the opening of malls, with the opening of brand awareness, and so many things. It's something which is really booming in Chennai, which is why it is fantastic for me and everybody in the current scenario here in Chennai to be part of this thing. It's very exciting.
Yes. And one more thing is, I think everybody wants to be in the limelight with your selfies and putting it on
True,
your stories,
true.
Insta, and whatever.
There are kids who have interned with me who are earning nothing more than who are kids. They're just in college. They're interning. Their monthly salary at that point in time is about 15,000. They are spending close to 10,000 of that money on themselves and wanting to shop and buy shoes and bags and expensive watches. And that's something which I would never have done when I was like 18, 19 years old. And that is just because of brand awareness, trend awareness, and the fact that everybody wants to be unique and step out and look good. And that's something which is really good, because I think if you look good and you feel good, and that's definitely going to influence every facet of your life. And that's something which is very important. I think in today's day and age, is to really be confident and be able to deliver on things. So the way you look and the way you feel about yourself plays a very big role in that.
Okay. Yeah. So thank you so much for that. And I just want to add on one more point over here. We have a placement in charge over here, and he's been behind us for the past 1 week to say that he has one of the persons ready to give jobs for our students who are just in their first year.
Right.
He doesn't even want you to graduate.
No, that's very true.
He just wants them immediately. Just send them. I'll train them. Maybe I'll just send them for the exams. That's it.
Yeah, because to be honest, even as someone who works very regularly, I'm constantly looking out for young kids to come and join me, and because it's very interesting to be able to groom somebody. Number one, number two, it's we need help. I mean, we need young budding
And
help,
fresh minds,
fresh
very
minds. We
creative.
need, yeah, we generally need. I can't be taking someone who's on a junior level position and be asking them to do certain things, which is you have to start from scratch. That is another thing that most kids need to learn. You can't just finish and then jump into the industry and expect to get a big fat salary.
Exactly.
And you have to mold yourself from scratch. There's nothing that you shouldn't be able to do, because that's how it is in every industry. In an industry where you spend like so much of money and educate yourself, go to higher levels and everything. When you're studying post graduation, also kids there are working in subways and working in petrol bunks, and that's how life is, and that's how tough it is. And here, at least, we're providing you an opportunity to work within the space that you have chosen. So that way, you have to work from scratch, do a lot of internships, do a lot, educate yourself as well. Do not expect your college to do 101% of your work. You need to be able to, you can only bring the horse to the water. You can't expect it. You can't this thing. So you have to educate yourself. You have to be very, very up to date with things on Pinterest, with Instagram. There are so many options available today, which wasn't available to us a few years ago. So it's very easy, and you have to be, inclined to do that. Otherwise, it's going to be very difficult for anybody in the industry to survive.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I take this opportunity to be a bit selfish to talk about ourselves now. Yes, we've seen why in Chennai, why BTech in BTech FT in KCG. So I would say that we have a wonderful setup of all the laboratories. We also have a loom. So that we actually start off right from yarns and fabric and garment.
Right.
The whole
From scratch.
facilities are there. So right from the scratch, whatever they have, inspirations they have, they can do it virtually also, and they can directly do the product and bring the final
I
product onto
think
the.
that's what makes a product unique. When you make it from scratch, if you're going to be able to just buy a fabric and cut it and stitch it, anyone is going to be able to do that.
Exactly.
So I think it's very important to take a garment, at least in the design facility, from scratch, create the motif, create the loom, create the yarn. There are so many biggies today. Off the bat, I can tell you so many sari looms. And I'm talking about Nalli, I'm talking about Sundari silks, I'm talking about, these are the biggies today. They are the ones who in the industry are making most amount of money. And they make all of it from scratch. The expensive saris, if you see, ones which are worth 2 lakhs, 3 lakhs, why are you paying so much for it? It's because they're taking the loom, and they're creating the design, they're creating the weave, and then they are manufacturing it from scratch. And that's the reason why they can label it as unique, and that's the reason why it's a designer product, and there's a reason why we have people paying money for it. So if it is not going to be unique, then it's not going to be designer.
Exactly.
So
So
that's a fantastic
Yeah.
initiative you guys have taken. Because when we were studying, we did not have an opportunity to have a loom or create fabric. It was so difficult for us to source fabric, because we would all go to the same place, and
come out as uniforms.
Yeah, literally, because you're always fighting with the next person. What have you taken? Okay, I don't want to take that. So it's great that you're able to actually create fabric here. It's fantastic.
And our first year students have already been taken to industrial visits. They've attended a workshop with the designer.
Oh, wow.
So we're going to also plan during their vacation. We're also going to plan for a 1 week a workshop with the designer is going to be here. They're going to start off right from the concept till the product. They're going to do printing. Right from the concept. So they've already started off with your themes and all, and they're going to totally work on that. They're going to see their own printed products.
That's fantastic.
So the same way, we also had a training program yesterday. It was on rapid prototyping.
Oh,
It was
wow.
3D printing.
Oh, wow.
So they've been learning about how to use a 3D pen to make products, how to use a 3D printer to design their own products and take rapid prototypes. And we are also going to have virtual fashion design training where they're going to work on e-prototyping. So they are going to learn all these things also. And of course, we are affiliated under Anna University.
Okay.
Though we are not an autonomous college, right, the management has given us all the autonomy to take up all the, the extra courses, the extra value-added courses, the co-curricular activities. They really, motivate the students very nicely, and they have given a big infrastructure.
Oh, wow.
So it's going to be a wonderful place to join here for BTech FT. So that's for KCG. Why BTech FT in KCG? So the next thing is, just want to ask you about the higher studies options. What are the opportunities available for these students? Want to take this?
Regarding higher study opportunities, we have, consider India for higher studies. Normally, we have a tendency for fashion, like we should take like overseas market for this thing. But what I would generally suggest is we have wonderful core colleges over here for your masters, and we have wonderful training places where the overseas people, abroad designers who work over there, come over here and get their products made from India and they go for selling to the market. So I would suggest all the students, whoever they wish to take design as a full career, they should go for we can name few colleges actually. For example, we have a National Institute of Design we have, which is a top 25th college representing India in Asia level. And we have world level Parsons School of Design we have. And we have in Italy Polimoda, which is very good university.
Thomas, Polimoda.
Yeah. So we have Central St. Martin School of Fashion where big people like Stella McCartney from Adidas, she's one of the alumni from Central St. School of Martins. So we have such wonderful colleges overseas, but it is end of the day it's up to the design oriented approach, which college I have to take. Whether it's a now the trend is luxury brand management. There is a course which all the people are willing to migrating towards it. Now, because you have to, when you are adopting for higher studies, you have to be very clear which post or which career you are really aspiring to pitch in. Because that is where you have to focus. Because when you take M design, in M design, what is for best example, in London School of Arts, we have MA Digital Fashion. Whereas it's a very new course where people who explore the fashion completely in technology oriented program. So you have to explore the number of courses in all the respective colleges according to your positive approach, which specialization you
as to what you are interested in.
Exactly, because now the whole India towards the total fashion industry turns towards your brand management. Everyone wants to be a brand oriented careers. So you have to be very clear whether you want to do design, brand, or you want to technology oriented.
I think they have 4 years to decide that, and that's why it's very important to focus on doing this as soon as you finish your 12th. Because I think you will, if you're really interested in fashion, then that's the best time to jump in. And the second thing is, I mean, apart about higher studies, the thing is about fashion, it's always evolving, and it is something that you don't. I mean, I didn't do a master's, so I mean, it doesn't really affect your life in a way that another course can, right?
Okay.
If you do mathematics, or if you do psychology, or if you do something like that, then for sure you need to do a master's. Here, you do not have to invest in a master's as much. I would say based on my life experience. I mean, everybody's life experience is different. So also, I think it's very important on where you want to place yourself tomorrow in the industry and what you want to do. So all that really affects where you're going to be doing your higher studies.
Okay.
If in case I have had a lot of classmates who studied with me, who immediately after finishing their BA honors, which is what I did, and then went and studied in Paulo Moda and Domus and everything, they came back and they got the same career opportunities that they did before leaving.
Okay.
But except that they had a big fat student loan on their head. So it's very important to plan these things as well. So it's not a must that you have to do higher studies, because this is the kind of industry that you can learn tremendously on the job. So I think rather than spending 2 years abroad or locally or anything, you can join a company and learn, in fact, a lot more,
Yeah.
because that's the career opportunity that other careers do not offer you, and that's the forte about fashion. I mean, you don't have to learn of it specifically in a classroom. You can learn it on the job. You can learn even more on the job than you can, and that's I had a very difficult time explaining that to my mother, who was always forcing me to go and do higher studies. Till I think a few years ago, in fact, and that was one of the reasons why I decided to open my store rather than do higher studies. It was an option between the two.
Okay.
And I learned a lot here because I chose specifically that I want to have a career in Chennai. I want to be a big fish in a small pond. That is something that what my focus was. I don't want to be a small insignificant fish in a pond where I cannot make a difference. So that is a decision that I took and decided to work upon. So it depends again on a lot of people's aims and aspirations is to go abroad and study and this and that, and that can drift. I had a friend of mine who wrote the NIFT entrance. Both of us wrote it together. She got in, I didn't, and she studied in. She did. Textile design, and she moved on to London to do a thing. Now she does graphic design and product management, which has nothing to do with textile design.
Okay.
So it's all about evolution, guys. You can't specifically say, if I study this, this is what I'm going to do, and this is what I'm going to do. It is just a pathway. It can lead you to so much more. She makes 5 times as much as she would have otherwise, but that's her life decision. So it's great. It's very exciting. It's very interesting because it's going to take you anywhere.
And also, like now the recent trends, a corporate company, they sponsor a right candidate and they sponsor for their like
Yeah.
1 year strategic program, 1 year executive programs in the corresponding. Like for example, best example is ABG Group. They provide all the leadership programs for their graduates who joined recently over the performance of 2 years. So people who look for a prospective like special programs, you can get into corporates where the corporate sponsor for their programs in your down the line your career actually. So that's also an option where like you have like Myntra, Flipkart, or you have one of the big fashion Denmark based bestseller which is having their office in Mumbai. They are providing all this leadership programs for their associates levels in Denmark. So that is also happening. So this is also an option. So it's up to the individuality, like how they take up the career.
I think now with e-commerce really booming and stuff like that, you have places like Myntra, you have places like, even small little startups that don't have anything, they have a platform on Instagram and they sell out of it.
Yeah.
And they need technically sound designers to help them lift off. Because there are a lot of venture capitalists who are interested in investing money because this is a huge, it's a huge playground for them to, this thing. But they need technically sound people, and I think it's a huge, it's a huge untapped, thing at this point of time. There's no bar on how much of money you can make. In the end of the day, it doesn't matter. In the end of the day, you have to be able to earn your bread and butter without having any stress and tension. And I think right now with the fashion industry booming, it's a huge marketplace for a lot of people to earn a lot of money. Even as a freelancer today, I took the long way here. I worked for myself a lot of the times. A lot of those times was a struggle, but now today I don't have a stress and a tension in my head saying where's my next paycheck coming from and everything. There's no bar to how much I can make. And I find people who are working, the entire month and they make half as much as I make, or even quarter. Whereas I work 4 days a week, or I work like maybe 4 days a month, and I make in fact more or double. So it depends on how lucky you get that month. So yeah, so it's not all up. You have to work hard to get here. It's not just
That's what I was supposed to tell you. Because hard work has brought you here.
But you will get comfortable at some point. Hopefully, if you really spend some time and figure things out, I think you will get comfortable, and it's not so scary as what people expect. Because I come from a conservative home. My father gave me the support which I wanted, but my mother she's a doctor, and she has done things a certain way, done a post graduation, has a clinic and everything. So she used to think me like, okay, get a regular job every month. Where are you going to struggle from? But it does work and it does click when you're in the fashion industry, at least.
So the next is about what are the placement opportunities, what companies, or where can they get placed after they graduate?
I think they can get placed, frankly, anywhere. to be honest, because again, like I had mentioned, I mean, I'm sure we'll get into the technicality of it, but on a broad spectrum, again, it goes back to the fashion boom. The way that this curriculum, as you have told me, is spread out, the child can get placed in anywhere they seem fit, right? Anywhere they seem interested. So if they are interested in design, there are so many design houses. If you want to go into a production house, if you want to work for an independent designer, if you want to work in any design development field, you can place yourself there. And there are so many opportunities today that people look at fashion design as in, design, tailor. I mean, the most basic of it. Okay, so. People look at it like, there's a designer, then it goes into a tailor, and then it goes onto the rack. It is not as simple as that. There are so many sub levels, subdivisions, sub migrations. There are people who are specific. I work for a company called Amante, whereas I worked there for 6 months. I did an internship there, but my job was just, I was in the R&D department, research and development department, and my job was just to find out where the market gap was. 6 months of my life was just spent going to malls, asking people, getting surveys done, talking to people, seeing what sold, what didn't sell, so many different things. And I was hired to do that. And I hadn't even graduated. I was in second year at that point, and the industry was, that particular company was willing to hire me even the next year. So unfortunately, I chose to go elsewhere and experience more. I went into Fab India after that to experience a different area of design. But I'm saying there are so many opportunities, and this I'm talking about something that happened 12 years ago. So imagine today, in this day and age.
So opportunities
It's
are
limitless.
there.
Limitless.
Students have to gear up themselves
Yes,
to
definitely.
attend these things.
Do you want to take the technical aspect?
Technically, like we are regarding the career opportunities, like we have multiple career opportunities. Previously, like as she said, like the trend in job opportunities, like in the past 10 years, it is different from the right now because there are more profiles are opening now into like industries, especially when you take the core textile development and as well as like fashion industries. We have more and more profiles. There is a one of a company called Export Syndicate, which everyone knows in the textile forum. They are coming up with the workwear uniforms. Technical designers are hiring from like premium design institutes. They need a team of product development where technically strong people who can suggest what good fabric to be used, what like finish for the textile to be done. So that is how the profile is getting grown actually. So when you tell about the opportunities, there are multiple opportunities as a designer. Now product designer plays a very major role where fashion is also comes and technology also comes into a single product. So we had multiple profiles are growing day by day by the companies where the VC are investing money for looking for the new smarter product where the consumer can easily purchase a day-to-day use actually. And also India is booming with a lot of brands, especially like a lot of acquisition from big retail giants like you say like Flipkart, Myntra or Japan, Uni, you can name any brand like ABG's like a collective segment. That's a hardware segment where like you can see like brands like Armani or Hugo Boss, like there are profiles in the retail also. See, when you take about the supply chain of the fashion industry, it is very, very, very huge. You cannot just name it or write it in a single paper. Right from your fabric or your yarn, even you can go for a fiber level. There are like fiber technologies coming up across the world where you can experiment with the fiber rolls. The best example is Google Jacquard, the electronic jacket, which is very trending in the last 2 years. So that is how the profiles are getting developed year by year. So it is like the individual decision and as well as the curriculum which you have to take more interest which you want and you have to train accordingly to the career which you are aspiring for the last couple of years. That is how the career will be set.
Also, I think it's right now again, like as you had mentioned, fashion is again not just fashion. It is from every I'm talking about how even a sunglasses or normal reading glasses looks on you to for example, now sportswear, right? As you said, fashion, right? Some people joke about it and say it's equivalent to food, or sometimes some people don't even want food, they want fashion. I mean, there are a lot of fanatics that say that, but the point is, like, if you're talking about, there is a huge boom in the active wear. A huge boom with the whole concept of living a more active life and living more healthy and looking good and being fitter and everything. when that industry booms, our industry booms as well. Because of the fact that for that, then immediately people need clothes to wear for that. When you need clothes to wear for that, for an active wear, you need to go into the, how the garment supports you when you sweat and how you can move and everything. So that's where the technology part comes in, whereas in you help construct a fabric that can help you, sweat less, that can help you move more freely, that makes you feel comfortable when it's not like before where you wear just like, sweatpants and a t-shirt and go running and stuff like that. There's so much of active wear and there's so much of technology involved in creating that active wear. So when that happens, again, we get work. Again, our people are hired to, create that technology, to create that design, to create that. So it's a very nice place for us to be, because even if our industry is stagnant and another industry booms, indirectly we boom. So that's fantastic, actually.
Yeah, thank you. And I think we have some more questions from the audience. What is the difference between a fashion stylist and a fashion designer?
If I had a rupee for the number of times I was asked this question, I think I don't need to work anymore. So, it's a fantastic question. I always take great pride in answering it. So, a fashion designer is someone who is extremely creative and creates a look based on their aesthetics, right? So what they like, what they are drawn towards, what they find inspiration. And that's the reason why you have so many different fashion designers. You have Sabyasachi, you have Manish Malhotra, you have Tarun Tajani, and I was thinking about, you have Alexander McQueen, who is an international, you have Stella McCartney. So if they're all the same, then we wouldn't have different styles and different brands. So that's a fashion designer, and their area of expertise is design. Where a stylist comes in is whereas in we decide how to trendify or how to create a trend from that particular design. And it's more specific. It's more person related, like a personal stylist, a celebrity stylist, or like that. What we do is we decide what out of those 100,000 million designs that are there, what works, what doesn't work, what it doesn't have to be worn only like this. It can also be worn with this. We can pair a Stella McCartney to a Tarun Tajani. We can pair a Manish Malhotra to, something from Jabong. I'm sorry, Manish, but it's possible, right? So our job is to trendify and make it a more what do you say?
Becoming clothes for a particular person.
Yeah, for a particular person, it becomes more customized. It's all about what looks good and doesn't look good in general. There are a lot of designs out there which doesn't look good for everybody. Now, that it's as basic as that. Like for a different person, based on their body type, on their skin tone, their hairline, their skin texture, their the length of their hair or their body, like whatever. We just decide on how you can look good. That's the basics basically, but in that itself there's so many different roles that you play, whereas in we are hired by professionals to do shoots, whereas in anything you see, like it can be any product. I've done shoots for basmati rice, whereas in I've decided the director and producer will come up with the storyboard and they will tell us, and we will decide what look will go for whom. So that's one thing. Then the second thing is when you are hired for fashion shows, whereas in, for example, say Rumudi Bangaru is giving us jewelry and we need to provide the clothes for it. And so on diamonds, what will shine, what will look, how will the diamonds pop? Or if we're having, Kemp jewelry, what will look best on this? Okay, this is the model, this is her height, what outfit will go best for that? So there are so many integrity details where we get involved in as a stylist. And of course, there's personal styling. So I'm talking about, there are a lot of people in, top level management people who cannot go out there and don't have the time genuinely to go shopping or whatever. So you're hired as a personal shopper. So your job is to go and create looks for them. And which is not very monotonous, which is not very boring, which is very interesting. You're hired by feature films, so you're hired to dress the hero and the heroine, or you can even be hired to for an item
For all
song.
the cast.
Yeah, for the background people, like for example, all the top movies today, which is trending. For example, Mari and all those big Rowdy Baby and all that. all those garments were conceptualized, and there was a mood board given, there was a theme board given, there was a decision taken. The background is this color, so the foreground dancers are going to be in this color. These mid-ground dancers are going to be. So much of thought and processes that go into it, and this is the whole thing is put together. Then there is of course celebrity styling, wherein there are, like, for example, I was giving you Deepika Padukone in the case. She was wearing this big neon dress. So a decision was taken by someone to put her in that, and there was so much of processes that goes through that. So so many different angles to styling that's there. So designer is someone who creates the look. We decide whether to use that look or what to pair it with to make it look different, or what to make it, how to jazz it up, and how to we basically make that look go into trend.
So you are more closer to the consumer.
Yes, very true.
Right?
Yes.
Okay. So have I understood right? Is a costume designer and a stylist the same?
Is again a different. I mean, a stylist can be a costume designer, and it can be the other way around as well. But a costume is a costume. It is like what Bahubali wore in the movie. You do not see Rana dressed like that on a regular basis, unfortunately. But I mean, it would be interesting that people dress like historically. So when you're talking about period movies, and you're talking about historical movies, you're talking about, say, a horror movie. These are all where costume is oriented. Now, Game of Thrones, all the outfits in that is a costume. You can't say all the outfits in that are a trend or anything like that. None of it can be used in today's day and age. So a costume designer is someone who creates a costume for a particular theme or concept, and
It
a
might
stylist,
not be a trend.
it might not be a trend. A stylist is someone who goes with the trend. So a stylist can also be someone who's a makeup artist. It can also be someone who's a hair artist. A lot of people get confused between hairstylists and regular stylists. So we say hairstylists and fashion stylists. So there are a lot of variations to that as well.
Yuvraj, I wanted to take the next question. The opportunities for entrepreneurship, I know it's wide, but just at least give the genres on which people can concentrate on.
Okay.
I want you all to take it.
See, generally about the entrepreneurship in fashion and textile industry, we cannot, as you said, in a one way actually. Right now, the entrepreneurship takes a very bigger level of like financial attractions from the investors, especially the tech startups, whether it is fashion or non-fashion. At the end of the day, it's a consumer-based product. People are ready to fund any entrepreneur project which is very conceptually very right for the consumer need. They're ready to fund it. When it comes to the fashion, people now, the investors like ASL or who are the top investors, venture capitalists, they are investing in different startups. Like you can name it like e-commerce startup. I can name few startups which are there doing very good in the market now. One such startup is the company name is Threadsaw. It's basically like a fabric cut plan software because everyone knows in fashion industry the fabric amount which we spend for fabric at the end of the day it's very huge. 80% of your product cost is your fabric. So we know how the fashion segment it works on. So this particular company focused a very programmed, a structured way of a software called Interlocate, where the cut plan of the fabric for the entire order, whether it's a domestic or export, or it's a designer segment, whatever it is, it planned properly and executed so that the fabric consumption of the garment is properly calculated, so that
There's not much wastage.
yeah, the manufacturer gets benefited, the brand gets benefited. They reduce the wastage of fabrics, which is involved in the entire supply chain of your product development. And the other startup we can say about Stylumia, that it's like a wonderful startup in terms of like for decision makers, basically what goes in trend, what decision you can take based on the consumer choices, what's happened, that like big data analytics basically. So like we have WGSN which tells which trend is going good, which color is going good. Like we have promo style. Same way we have the Stylumia where it's a AI based fashion platform where all the fashion professionals they can access to the platform, which size, which product or which fabric, which trims. It connects all the manufacturer, retailers, brands in one platform where the decision making across all these supply chain is very easy through this platform. And apart from that, we have a lot of like entrepreneur way actually. But main thing is like recent trendings in manufacturing is like they don't invest big amount of investment in terms of setting up entire manufacturing facility. As you know, like the entire product development cost is depends on labor cost, your manufacturing cost, right? From fabric, yarn, fabric. So the people who are investing in India, it's been like they're getting a very big question mark how long the product cost is going to be end of the day. Because now Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, Colombia, Turkey, we have multiple markets for your manufacturing a product. So
Which is
people
all
are
our
ready.
competition.
Yeah, we have
They're all our
to,
competition.
and people are coming up with micro manufacturing unit concept where somewhere a person who wants to start up a brand in somewhere part of the global, they can access through this MMU and they can get the product ready through just online or virtual augmented reality like that. Best example, recent startup called Mirror. That mirrors, they are tied up with almost leading jewelry companies, which virtually you can wear the jewelry in your user interface and you can select the jewelry and you can order rather than you're going to retail. It's funding like it's 2x the growth. People are keen to invest in that startup actually. So the startup should really solve the consumer need at the end of the day, and it should benefit the investor in a financial conversion also. That is so because see entrepreneur journey, many of the people have backed out because one thing is risk management. If I invest my money, some for example 10 lakh, if I invest, will I get the profit double amount in the down the line 6 months? No, that is not the way it's going to happen right now because the investment or the startup term getting changed down the line because investors looking forward only product which is going to sustain at least for a longer time, not at least for a financial returns. Your break even, technically we say. So that is how you should take up an entrepreneurial journey. Students at the curriculum itself, they should develop the attitude of not looking for your career opportunity, but to start your own. You should from the day first you start preparing you technically strong, market ready. That is how you can take a entrepreneur journey once you're graduated because investors and people who are funding they'll be questioning you a lot in terms of your technicality as well as your financial returns. That is how the entrepreneur journey. It's not going to be very smooth. It's going to be rough, but you don't give it up because there are a lot of possibility in new startups in fashion. Especially fashion has multiple opportunity, especially technology oriented.
So, do you think they can directly become entrepreneurs immediately after their graduation?
Yes, of course they can because see, there's a myth saying that we need experience actually only after certain years of your work experience you can start. So see, I'll tell you one thing: when you are in a 4 years of course curriculum, you have enough amount of time. As you said, you have to do a lot of time spending with your industry person during your curriculum. That is how you define which suits which stream you can take it for your startup. See, for example, I will say like four cases actually. One student he wants to start up a design based user interface startup project actually, but he's into completely fashion.
Okay.
So he take up a course which is like evening course, which is basically getting trained in UI UX actually. So he started getting clients from abroad after his portfolio has been presented to the UI UX domains actually. So he started freelancing. Now he's having his own company with the employment of like 20 to 25 peoples actually. All the peoples are paid only on the project basis.
See, I think it also depends on, like he said, the market gap. And it also depends on as basic as how genuine and how unique is your product that you have to offer. That can only be found if you know for a fact that there is no such product or no such service or whatever it is that you are planning to offer available readily in the industry. So if you have a genuine good product which is not available in the industry, anyone can be an entrepreneur because you are providing that service which is not existing. It can, and it doesn't have to be a very large. I mean, an entrepreneur is anybody who works for themselves, right? You don't have to have a very large, team working for you. You can even be a single sole person who doesn't, I mean, with a registered company, you can be considered as an entrepreneur. So it doesn't. You don't have to be multi-funded. You don't have to be have a VC. You should be able to have enough capital to run a business asset. Even if you can survive, then that's good enough. Even if you start small, but you are being profitable, and if you are providing a service that is being received well and is being absorbed into the industry, then you're an entrepreneur.
And you were also saying good monetary benefits.
Yeah. In the end of the day, as long as you're funding yourself and you have no this thing, then you're an entrepreneur. It doesn't have to mean you are going to be in league with Google or anything like that, right? But you're pushing yourself and you're creating something new, and that's giving you monetary gains. You're good enough. I mean, it's good enough. Start small also. That's also fine. You don't have to look at a very big, large scale thing.
Main thing is like I have to say this example because when we are talking about the entrepreneurship, I hope like people have googled this. Ohio on group is there, which is like basically the Rajasthani women who do artisanal dresses actually.
Yeah.
People get the dresses, and the whole community of these artisans are getting benefit. This is one of the best classic example where uh, a girl who's initiated this project, she's self-funded, and now she's doing good in overseas market also because people seeing the potential how not only the individual who initiated the project but the whole community is been grown.
Yes.
Because now the investors are seeing the scope of your project, how benefiting it is like as a part of CSR activity.
A social entrepreneurship.
Social entrepreneurship,
Exactly.
exactly.
There is a lot of
So
opportunities.
that is how students has to nurture them from the day one when they are getting into academics.
All about the idea. Like I'll just build on this. I went to Manali a few months back, and I was speaking to this lady who gives that traditional garment over there for sale. I mean, hire. Sorry.
Okay.
So for 500 rupees, you can hire her dress, and you can wear it, and you can take a picture. There are so many people doing it. In the 1.5 hours that I spent, I was on top of a hill somewhere in Shillong Valley, which is very difficult to get to. She's standing there. In 1.5 hours of me being there, at least 8 people wore that garment. She's charging 500 rupees out of the same garment. Okay, how much of money is she making?
In 1.5 hours.
Yeah, in 1.5 hours. I mean, she's making 4,000 rupees in 1.5 hours. Imagine how much of money she's making that day. Multiply it into a week, multiply it into a month. So it's all about the genuineness of the idea. And I mean, I would consider her an entrepreneur.
Exactly. Yes.
She has no losses. So, that's a fantastic idea.
And I also came across one more entrepreneurial activity. It's just a moped. There are two people.
Yeah.
They carry an instrument which can braid the old saris into bags.
Yeah.
Just make it and give it.
Yeah.
That's a very simple investment and a very nice thing, and I think it can reach every segment of the market.
Very true. There are a lot of very unique, very different. I mean, even Hyderabad recently, they started having this. I mean, you can't say second-hand sales, but there are a lot of people who buy very, very expensive garments, and then they wear it once and they're not able to wear it. So there's this initiative that they started for charity, actually, it was. And it was where people can either hire or buy any of the good quality products. And so you can get like very big designers for almost quarter the price. And it's all like 6 months within season. So, I mean, that's also a great entrepreneurial opportunity. And who's going to really know, So as long as your idea is unique and it works, I mean, you're an
See,
entrepreneur.
one thing is like if you have any entrepreneur journey, you have to doesn't need to start it from your own. If you have a concept, you build it as a sample or something like that. Any product, it's not only fashion. You can present it to any forum. Recently, this Lakme Fashion Week, the Circular Design Challenge was won by the call "I Was a Sari." Same she told the sari how it's being used in a different way. So it was like wonderful how the name itself tells "I was a sari." So that is how your initiative has to take. And it doesn't mean that everyone has to invest from your own and then you have to. No, it's not like it's not suggested in such a way that you have a lot of social forums where you can present your project. If it is really good and it is very market needed, obviously people are ready to fund it.
So simple and out of the box thinking is really going to be welcome.
Exactly.
Yes. Okay. So and the next one is any kind of development needs a lot of research. So what kind of researches are going on in the fashion field? So if students have to concentrate on some research, any kind of a small project or a bigger project for that matter, and that also they have to learn when they are during their studies itself. So what can they concentrate on? And if at all they have to take up some serious research, where can they concentrate on?
Especially in terms of research, the trend in research in fashion, it's actually bifurcated into two segments actually. One is core technical and one is more into design actually.
Yes.
You see a lot of startups in the recent years, they are investing more into like augmented reality and artificial intelligence based systems, data automation system design, because designers have a lot of creative inputs. To quote one example, there's a startup in London where he automated all the thoughts of a designer. Actually, he closely studied with the designer. He automated
Something like an expert system.
exactly as an IBM expert system. Like he automated all his theories, how the trend can be by an individual. He compiled into a system, so it generated patterns. It generated multiple, but the question is, will it be a threat for a designer? No, it's not like that, because creativity cannot be killed in any way. It cannot be killed at all.
Cannot be mechanized.
This can be used for mass manufacturing brands. Actually, that's a very wonderful system. People who wants to run like a setup which is without any human labor oriented, you can take the system as a aid and you can use it, develop like that. That is so. And in terms of technical textile segment, lot of big corporates, giants are like they are investing in overseas market for technical textile development, especially fabric, your core yarn filaments and all. Because right now, like we need lot of technology product, like you say Google Jacquard, the leather jacket, touch sensitive. Your app control the products. So that is how students has to cope up with their knowledge. It's not your core strength. Ultimately, you have to concentrate your own programming language as well. You need to.
It's too wide.
Actually,
the question is actually too wide aspect. Right?
I understand.
It is very. So it again, he's answering the technical side of things. But if you take even the design side of things, it's as simple as a very small project. If you get a project, whereas it's a styling project or a design project, and it says, okay, you create we had a project on LBD, little black dress. Create your own little black dress. It's very straightforward, simple. You need to do your research on it because half the world is wearing little black dresses, right? You wear it for a funeral, you wear it for a cocktail, you wear it for, but you can't create the same thing that's already there. You need to do extensive amount of research to create something unique and genuine, which is a designer product. I mean, that way you have to do it. It is a need because a little black dress is a classic style, which is never going to go out of style. You're going to have to keep creating it. It can be something which is a repeat of Audrey Hepburn, or it can be something which is a repeat of Marilyn Monroe, but with your own twist. That is also research. So, so my point is, it can be technical, it can be design, and as he had mentioned, it is too wide a thing. But what I think, there are so many opportunities today. Like I had mentioned, something as simple as Instagram, something as simple as Pinterest, something as simple as all these basics which are available today, which can really help you today. If you just put into Google, where can I do this, or where can I find this, you get a list. So.
And
it's
and the kind of market research, understanding the customers, all these things. So I just put this question so that
is like
students understand that they have to have their sensors on. They have to do a lot of research around it.
Also, you should be inclined to doing it because, as I had told you before, when I was working for Amante, it's a very sensitive. It's a lingerie brand, and it's a lingerie brand, and I had to stand in a mall environment and ask ladies about lingerie, which is not a very progressive approach. And I mean, it's not a very welcome thing. Not too many people. A lot of people are very shy. But it takes a decent amount of whatever guts from somebody's side. I mean, I had another girl who was uncomfortable doing it, but it has to be done. So you need to get yourself out of your comfort zone and be willing to do certain things which are not, say, socially always accepted or whatever. But that is something that you need to put in the effort in.
Because you can see a lot of brands like lingerie wear brands like Zivami, wonderful Buttercups, Bangalore based. They're doing wonderful in terms of turnovers every year.
And technologically, they're very advanced.
In terms of customized lingerie, Buttercups. So one of the good startups recent years. And when she was telling about the little black dress, I got a example. It's very good. Delhi-based girl. She did the research. Because we have fashion like classics. White and black will be always both in Indian market. Best example, Aditya Pillar fashion. We have like when I was working, like there is throughout the year we have a stock to be maintained in white and black shirt. Through all your exclusive outlets and multi-brand outlets throughout LP, Vanus and Alan Solly, Peter England, because we know there is a market for this product where it can be always consumed. So she started with 6 garments, then she started with 12 garments. Now she's selling 36 garments a year, which is like for 1 year she's earning good. She started with very little investment of 25,000. It's all research happens in each and every way the supply chain works. So that is all.
And I think we should take some questions from the audience. Why fashion technology in Chennai? when Mumbai, Delhi has a lot of fashion going on there compared to Chennai?
I think I had already mentioned, I had already answered this question before. Right now, Mumbai and Delhi had their fashion boom, say, a decade ago. Right now, the fashion boom is happening here in Chennai. So the opportunities are more, and the way it's a far more wider, area than it was before. So obviously, there are people who are going to be, more accepting a lot more ideas and a lot more concepts. So it's a fantastic place to be at this point in time than any other city, at least in India for sure. Because again, there's like I said, a lot more opportunity. Another thing I would like to mention upon when you talk about Mumbai, Delhi, even Karnataka for that matter, the culture in these places are extremely different, right? As a stylist, I think I thrive in the Tamil culture area. If I go to Bombay, then me being a South Indian, I'm going to be frowned upon for various different concepts. If I had to style a typical Mumbaiker, okay, in their typical Maharashtrian dress, I have to do my research for it, and even then it can be a little bit off. Like you would, I don't think we would, at the same way, we would frown upon a Maharashtrian stylist coming to Chennai and styling a Madisar. So there are a lot of,
The cultural diversities which are there between the north and the south.
You
that
should
has to be,
learn. You
bridged.
should learn to
Yeah.
use that as your advantage rather than, keep that as a thorn in your foot. So there is enough and more work happening here. A lot of people in my career have asked me, why not go to Bombay? My question is, why go to Bombay? When I have equal, in fact, more opportunities here, why should I?
And also we have a lot of manufacturing industry in terms of oven
Everything is
factories, leather industries over here.
Yeah.
And it's a wonderful opportunity for students to explore the market, which is readily available near.
Yeah.
It's like a next home.
Yeah, right.
For them.
Exactly. I think a few years back, South was only used as a raw material.
Yes.
Exactly.
Just for sourcing fabrics and yarn, fibers and all the yarns and all those things. But now I think we have the market also available over here.
Definitely. See, when you're talking about, say, something like, for example, lehengas or something like that, then yes, definitely the North market is a lot more well equipped. Like I've gone all the way to Chandni Chowk and tried to source trims and come back. But when you're talking about, say, like he said, leather, when you're talking about so many different, like when you're talking about knits, when you're talking about wovens, you're talking about Banaras, you're talking about Kanchipuram, you're talking about looms, we hold we're a reservoir of information, we're a reservoir of opportunity, we're a reservoir of things that's happening here, which we don't do this down doom thing about. I think as South India is a little bit more thing. So definitely there are a lot of different pockets and segments that you can really explore
So one
here.
more thing is that when it comes to the product categories, right? When we take about the lehengas, people who like karigars who work for lehengas, Kolkata based,
Yeah.
actually.
All of
Yeah,
Kolkata based.
people who migrated from Kolkata over here, like Hyderabad market, Chennai market, or all south downline, that's how they
Yeah.
work. But the origin of the work is from there,
there.
actually. And people who have different works in, like you take this palm leaf intrications in
Yeah.
design, that's in Odisha based.
Yeah.
So now people are getting information throughout
Yeah.
web access. They can
It's
access
very
anywhere actually.
like for example kalamkari for that matter, batik, you're talking about, these are all Indian textiles and Indian techniques which have been used for years, which are now being manifested. It's not like you get kalamkari only from that original village in Andhra anymore. It's all over Andhra, it's all over. I went and I saw batik that was done in Indonesia, Bali,
Okay.
which was done. I went to a small village in Langkawi where it's only famous for batik. The same batik is being done here.
Okay.
So nowadays it's not so regional anymore. It's all over the place. So you don't really specifically have to go here or here or here only for this anymore.
And before I give my last question, there's one more question from the audience. Biotextiles or biocouture, how they are going to impact the fashion industry and the fashion technology?
Actually, it's a very tough call because see, one side
I
of the
think it's
market.
still in the research.
Yeah, I have seen one of the posts in like Facebook. One of the vendors posting, "I have a milk fabric.
Okay.
If you want it, please direct message." So then I message, "What is you're trying to tell milk fabric?" Because as a technology, we cannot accept it, right? What is milk fabric? And you're quoting us so and so price. What is the technicality behind it?
You meant mal.
No, it's not like he didn't even reveal what kind of a composition or a fiber which went to make the fabric. He just meant I have a milk fabric which I've worked recent year with all lot of research. I mixed milk. All this stories have been very good actually. But end of the day, is my consumer is ready to procure the product because fabric it is a worst part. It has a good. It has a reverse side also because once you purchase on board you cannot return to any vendor. You go to anywhere across the Indian supply chain, you take like Butch where all this fabrics happening, printing and all, or you take organic fabrics I'm making in Gujarat. I have been like last one a couple of years I've been into this natural fabric. Now I'm seeing the worst part of marketing is I can give natural fabric for 70 rupees. Nowhere it is possible at all natural fabrics in India because I have a client who from Paris all the way she came to India. She stayed in Gujarat for 6 months. She worked for the natural fabrics. She took all the garments for her collection. Actually, that is how it's happening because authenticity. Actually, when it talks about this biomedical textiles, it goes more onto technical segment, technical aspect. What my consumer really want. Because when someone we are telling them to do research in biotextile, what does the consumer need in the market, whether it is a mass market or your completely tells about your clinical segment. Yeah, that is your hospital requirement. Now, because this social economical amendment, this post GST, lot of industries have been affected, especially medical textiles and all. You have seen like how worse this gauze fabric is being manufactured the south side. They got ultimately into laws actually. So we have to see like what is actual requirement in terms of biomedical textiles, whether we are going to supply. See, I can tell it is a complete technical textile. How much technical textile is being like the students have been exposed for that particular because it's a very vast. Fashion is something different, and your technical product development
features.
This it's very different actually. This can be tell us like it's a future.
If you have to really simplify it, you can say that anything that is biodegradable and good for the earth and good for the planet, and it's sustainable and it is not affecting the environment, then definitely now to simplify that, it is definitely now with this global awareness and everything happening and this whole movement. There is a lot more viability for this kind of product in the market than it was about 5 years ago. Definitely, there's a lot more awareness and a lot more people who are interested in it, provided it's pocket friendly. Because in the end of the day, if it is going to be exorbitant, let's take as simple as, for example, authentic kalamkari and fake kalamkari. You have kalamkari prints and you have stuff that is printed ones, and you have something which is originally done with the kalam. Now that is 500 rupees a meter and this is 50 rupees a meter. Now if I need to make profit, I need to see what is viable for me. So again, it completely depends on that. But even if you take the disposable plastic bags these days, which is dissolvable in water, even that is a fantastic solution as of now. But I'm sure that maybe sometime in the future, maybe 30 years from now, 40 years from now, we'll have even garments which go into that category. You never know. So because in the end of the day, everything is pollution. What we're wearing right now is actually pollution. In the end of the day, it is going to take a huge amount of time for it to biodegrade. So when you look at all those things, yes, definitely it is a growing industry, but it is definitely going to take some time
because
to get there.
When you see the project like Nokia Morph, 10 years before when the brands are there, Nokia Morph technology, when it comes, it's a self-cleaning mobile. That concept was eventually evolved by the lotus leaf concept, the water repellent actually. That has been implemented into technical textile. Still, it's in research level. It's not, it's not even closer to the commercial aspect because the market is not ready to procure the concept actually.
But this concept came a long back. I don't know whether you guys remember this. This Veshti. Which one? Stain free. Right, there'll be coffee that you just roll down. The same thing I saw recently, which my friend made fun of. These white kicks are very in fashion, right? White shoes. Everybody's wearing these clean white shoes these days with pants and whatever. So that has this, and it's most difficult to clean white shoes. So they have, it's now coated with the same thing. And this friend of mine very smartly pointed out, the one that it was there that's in the Veshi concept, but somebody's actually thought of it to implement on a white shoe. That in itself is a
Actually, one shirt brand does, actually,
Yeah.
one domestic brand shirt does like self-cleaning. Even you pour water, your coffee stain, it doesn't stick onto the garment. But when you see the product cost, as a
So
like
we have to
technologist,
report
as
to
an
consumers
investor,
who can
yes,
get it.
exactly.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think we almost come to the close, but then the last but the least, the most important question which I want to put to you, what is expected by the industry from a fresher? What kind of attitudes and attributes these students have to develop in themselves while they are still students before they go into the industry?
See, it is very simple because I'm in a process of like recruitment of freelancers and all for connecting to the industries. See, when we interview, it's like more fun moment in our life. Actually, you can experiment with a lot of like, fun expectations. Actually,
That's the saddest in you talking, no? Playing with them.
no, it's not like, see, I don't interview people based on the resume or something. Not every HRs because it's not the motive of someone to make them sad at the moment where their life kickstarts. Actually, it is to make them understand where they stand actually and what call they have to take at the end of the day. See, when we see the students like when they graduate, right, they have an expectation which is built from the first. I think it's a social pressure actually, the package, the attractive. But the first question is the student has to ask themselves whether I'm fit enough to demand the package actually. Because I've seen students from premium
maybe
institute also.
they can demand.
Yes.
But what have they done to themselves
Yes,
to
exactly.
demand that?
Exactly. See, when we recruit designers for any project as a freelance, we have some certain amount of time where they have to sign an agreement and all. But they have a lot of demands. Yes, work time should be like this. No, it's not like that. It's not going to be a smooth way in your initial terms of career. She said she has been working in Sundays 3 hours, and it is like that. Now she's happy that the journey which she has come across, like she will never feel like very like sad or because the position where she stands, that is so.
Yeah.
When we have to put ourselves, when we demand like so and so package, we should be ready to do that. And industry asks a commitment actually. See, now the trend is like if the package is less or if my incentive is not given, people will immediately switch off to the other company. I would suggest the students don't switch off.
But
or
that is
swap.
difficult now because frankly speaking, there aren't like it's not very easy for you to switch as easy. I mean, HRs are not so this thing, they're going to ask you for questions, right? So, I mean, as he had mentioned, I think it's very important to be humility is very important, self-education, because see, in the education that is broadly provided by y'all is going to be a standard. But what is making me hire this person over this person? Is very important, right? So that person, how much they have, what their interests are, how they've developed it. Now, if I'm going to get hired by a company, I'm now my resume says, okay, I have interned with Amante, then I have interned with Fab India, then I have done this, and then I have done that. Now I'm going to, if I'm going to go to Nokia and tell them I've done all this, it makes no difference, right? Because it has no relevance to that. But if I go to another company or a design company, whatever, and say I've done all this, then they will see whether I'm fit for that position. First of all, most importantly, self grooming, self education, self awareness, as well as being very very aware of the current scenario. It's very difficult to live in a bubble and then jump out into the ocean. It's very very difficult.
Exactly. See,
So you
open to
have
learn
to-
should be there. That culture should be a very most important culture. Actually,
Right.
you should be willing to learn anything which the industry needs from you. It is not like, okay, I'm a designer, I'm not supposed to go and deal with the fabric and sourcing. No, a designer should be in a position where you have to manage every supply chain because you are the very core crux of the product. If you tell that I'm a designer, I'll sit in a position in front of a computer, then that's not the way. You have to go.
How can they develop themselves as a student? Okay, these are the attitudes and attributes which is expected. So what should
You
we
need
do?
to go out there and experience.
See, it is
this.
not like that. As an internship, I'll go stand in front of the industry, take a group picture. Yes, my internship is done. Getting a certificate through a mail, that is not the way it is going to happen. Because faculties are more and more aware that you do what the background scenes are happening. But at the end of the day, the loss is happening to the concerned student actually. rather than you see internship as an assignment, you see it as a life actually.
Yes.
As she mentioned, like 9:30 to, don't look at the time actually. Whatever the time you invest, think as a solid investment. It's like worth a 10 lakh or a 20 lakh investment for your life.
Frankly
Go to
speaking,
industry.
I don't even think at this point in time, for the first 4 years of your life, I mean, I'm sure parents will not appreciate hearing this, but don't have expectations in terms of money. That's when you will see money. If you're going to expect by 2 years I should be making 50,000, by 3 years I should maybe making 1 lakh, you're not going to get that. Reason being, it doesn't work that way. Reason being, if you do not expect that maybe in 1 year you'll be making 3 lakhs in a month, you never know, right? So again, like what we are trying to say is, if you're working for a company and your job in the morning is going there and just only making coffee, that is also it. Do not demotivate yourself. You're there in a company. See what the person next to you is doing. See what the person who is, you. There is so much that you can learn. Nobody is going to come and spoon feed you in the industry. There is no time for doing that. But to be honest, if I have two kids and one is extremely self-driven and one is jumping to do everything, and the other one is just relaxing, who am I going to hire again? Right? It's as simple as that. You need to jump out there and be seen and really, really motivate yourself as well as the people around you in order for you to create opportunities for yourself. If you're going to just sit back and relax and say, okay, I'm going to wait for this opportunity and I'm going to do it only from 9 to 5 and then I'm not going to do it on a Sunday and this and that, the opportunity is not going to
I can still remember the first day of our, the first day when I stepped into ABG group. We had one of a mentor who's heading now Vanusen actually. He used to tell us like he used to cut 6 months fabric swatches. He passed out from a Premier Institute Design. He used to he always
We've
have a
all done
thought
that.
why the concern work is being given, because as a designer he has to play with the fabrics. It is not a cutting job. You have to see what is behind actually ahead of your growth. It is not like okay they are ill treating us, or it is not the way they treat, because they want to make you ready to understand the consumer demand. Because whenever the trade show happens, lot of comments from the retailers out, franchisee owners, they will give this style is going good, this style is not going good, why the style is going. You have to do the reverse engineering, why my style is dropped, why it's commercially not success. That is how. And when it comes to the designers, now the point is like we see the portfolio, we ask them show the designs which is commercially successful in your portfolio, not your attractive sketches or something like that.
Yeah.
That's good. We know you're creative. That is why you are being here. But show us commercially what is successful.
True.
Show your portfolio.
And what's going to work. And
What is going to
not
work. That is how
that
things
much of
will
little
happen.
bit of, I'll take it one step further. I have a go down as a stylist. I've been working for the last 6 years. I have one room just filled with stuff. I'm talking about jewelry, shoes, jackets, everything. It's frankly speaking, it's always a mess because we're shooting every other alternate day. When I hire an intern or I hire an assistant, the first job is to clean that go down. The first job, whether to put things back in place to, and I'm taking a child from a good home who's probably not cleaned her own room and I'm making them clean my room. It's not about cleaning the room. It's about only when you go through every single thing in that go down and you know what is there, will you know how to style something.
Exactly.
Right? If I'm getting a request from somebody saying it's a sari catalog and I need this much of jewelry, if I don't have that jewelry, it's my job as a stylist to procure the jewelry in the amount they're paying me. If I'm procuring the same jewelry I already have in my godown, it's a direct loss for me.
Exactly.
It's as simple as that. Right? I'm not asking the child to do the cleaning of the job just for my own benefit. It is for the
For her
fact
to understand
Yeah.
with what she
to
has
be
to
a
do.
better
And exactly
Yeah.
the students has to understand whatever the profile you go, whether it's a design or a brand or a management or a production, especially this happens with the production profiles, you should have the patience actually to
Yeah.
handle the workforce, because that is a core
Yeah.
crux of your brand. If
Yeah.
you're working for a brand, you have to
Be able
handle
to
with
deal
lot
with
of
everybody.
workforce actually, especially people who are having a career of production merchandiser, merchandising, who's bridging the gap between the designer and the product
Masters.
management, pattern masters, lot of workforce, because you should have a people management skill. Because if you get literally like, no, this is not my cup of tea, no, it's not going to work for the entire
You shouldn't
career
be
actually.
afraid, frankly speaking,
Exactly.
of anything. You should be able to take, your safety aside and everything, you should be willing to be able to take an auto to go to some place, explore, however out of your box it is, however out of. I have had night shoots which start at 11 in the morning, 11 in the night, and go on till 6:30 in the morning in a crew of 85, 95 people. But you should be willing to be able to do those things. Then only will you be able to learn on the job. But then only will it be. If you're going to be like, ma'am, I'm scared, I cannot come for a night shoot, my parents. So it's for the parents to provide that support. It's our duty to provide that security. But at the same time, it's the child's willingness to step out of the box and do whatever it takes to achieve whatever they want to achieve. If you're going to be scared, if you're going to be like, I've never done this before, I've never done that before, it's going to be very difficult for you to survive in the industry tomorrow.
Exactly.
Because when your graduation is happening and you're placed in a very big manufacturing
Nobody is
unit,
waiting.
so everything, first rightly you will be put into directly dealing with the workforce, because there you will understand what is exact people management, because you will deal with a lot of different human psychology with the different work operators against your target, because your entire brand or your company
And
stands with on that
from the
workforce.
most menial to the top. I'm talking about there will be people who, as just because you have come from a background or whatever, masters and everything are very, very difficult to deal with. They have 35, 40 years more experience than you have. So it's very important on how well you are able to extract work from them.
Yes.
You know, so there are a lot of
And
things
also,
that you learn.
there should be no predictions that you're from a master's or you're from a so reputed institution. Your decision will be always experience, always a matter. Don't predict or don't assume anything. Take a technical call, everything then and there solved. That is what your analytical skills proves. Because it is at the end of the day, it's going to be like everything ends in financial. If you're financially lost, then you are not a successful person in your any contribution actually. Because a good person, technically strong, conceptual level, everything financially matters. So when you go for a designer, if someone tells you to get the fabric, just don't go select the fabric and come. Try to research what kind of fabric, what is a fabric fiber composition, how the weaving is. For example, you have to question: is it a check shirt? Is it a sectional warping? Too many technical you have to, and you then and there, if any technical clarity, you should ask the designer, you ask the product development in terms of your pattern master, anything. Then and they have to clarify. So open to learn, people management, and you should always keen to get into details. Actually, that is what make you great
So it's
industry.
people's management, time management, technology management, everything put together.
Exactly.
So I think there's one more question. I think we'll just take a
Extremely situation related. So unless you have a very clear, and it also depends on your research on the market, the research on the market cap, the research on the product that is provided, all these things are extremely important in order to answer these three questions.
To add to this, actually, the question is really good.
Yeah.
I think graduate or someone who's very interested to start up something like, but scenario you have to understand. Now India is flooded with manufacturing.
Yes.
You go anywhere, you can make any product, but people are looking for brand. Onliners, your investors want the brand because people are behind brands and authenticated. Your work nature, your product development should be authenticated. That is how you have to. Rather than investing into your bigger manufacturing facility, you can invest like 1/10 or 1/3, whatever so-called your investment into brand. Get it outsourced, because there is a lot of manufacturing industries we are visiting domestic
No,
as
but
well
for
as
that
overseas.
matter, you're talking about creating labels also. No, brand is in a bigger way,
Yeah.
labels are in a smaller way. So it completely depends. I mean, if you are creating, and I would rather have my own manufacturing unit to produce that label, to have control over quality and execution and everything. So again,
yeah, it depends.
Yeah.
It's based on, like, case.
But again, like you're saying, authenticity of the brand or the label or whatever thing is very much more important than just doing a job work or production for a bigger.
Because if a brand is very good in the market, I mentioned Threadsoul. It has been acquisition by Coach India. After like 5 years, 6 years of their performance, they got Microsoft Biz Award and everything. It's been acquisition actually. This acquisition is happening a lot now in fashion. Actually, this is happening every time actually. Recent acquisition, Geo got John Players. It might be a lot of scenarios, but what I'm saying, when an acquisition happens, the reason behind the acquisition, your product does very good in the market. And investors also, they see that instead of hiring or acquiring the entire facility, they want the brand to be run very properly. So that comes your entire supply chain, you have to see very well. where I can outsource the product, what is the product cost, at the end of the day, what the product is, what is the cost of the product you are getting inwards. So too many technicality, the entire supply chain, you have to give a detailed framework. That is how the decision can be made, and it differs from like the investor to invest. If it is an individual investor, it's a different call actually. If it is a funder, it's completely different.
Yeah, thank you. So I think we have got so many other questions also. I think they just joined us a bit late. So it's almost a repetition of what we've been talking before. So here I just want to tell that this video is going to be available online. So you can always have a look at it again. So we're coming to the close of this webinar, still leaving more questions. So I think there was also one more question to ask if there are some regular open webinars which are available for the field. So maybe let's think in future, maybe we'll try to do this as a routine so that we can reach the people, get to understand their requirements also.
If it is benefiting our fashion community, we are always ready to open at any time, even that's not day and night for us actually.
So thanks for the cooperation for that. So we will work on it later.
Sure.
So I take the opportunity to thank both the guests and all our online viewers on behalf of the Department of Fashion Technology and KCG College of Technology. So thank you so much.
Pleasure being here.